Hi, I'm Dr. Sharyl Truty, owner of Balanced Physician Care, located here at the beaches. And our topic today is going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about detox and what exactly is detox. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people mention it with weight loss. It has something to do with your liver organ, maybe something to do with your intestines. But, what really is the science behind it? Why has it become popular, and why, as a medical physician, is it something that I talk about to my patients and I recommend? Most of us are familiar with the fact that there are toxins in our environment. There are pesticides. There are a lot of different types of chemicals that we encounter, from solvents when we paint to pollutants that are in the air. So we know that we encounter these on a regular basis, but it's often hard to figure out exactly if they're having an effect on your body, if they are, to do about it. There's not a lot that environmental science kind of guides us, as far as what we can do on an individual basis. And then there are toxins found in our food. Some of the same things that are pesticides, but also, artificial flavoring, and even our medications to some extent, affect us. Over-the-counter medications, prescription medications, those are all things that once we take them in, our body has to manage them and then excrete out what's not good for us. So, and then the last category are sort of, in a sense, natural things that our liver has to deal with, and that's things like viruses and bacteria. I mean, they affect the body just as well. They can create toxins within the body and have, residual effects. So, what do we have, in our armamentarium? Dr. Weil believes, in his, in our body's infinite wisdom, that it already has its own innate mechanisms to, deal with these kinds of things. The liver is a big organ, and it actually has a lot of reserve, and it is, has a powerful capacity to be able to take, these toxins out. However, those of us in, holistic medicine and natural medicine physicians, when we've examined a lot of herbs and a lot of vitamins, we've seen that they have the ability to boost our own liver's innate ability. And that's really what a detox is. It's trying to, boost what we already have so that we can get an optimal effect. For people who, kind of maybe want objective evidence, whether they have toxins or not, I mean, at our office, we do offer some testing to take a look at that. So we offer heavy metal testing to see. There's various types of urine and hair analysis, which, different physicians can provide to take a look at that. Obviously, there's some standard basic blood tests that can tell us, and even when it comes to things like viruses or bacteria in functional medicine, there are some testings that can be done, on that as well. But, those tests can run, to be pretty expensive. And so most people tend to do those types of tests when they have a medical problem specifically that, a lot of times conventional medicine or herbal medicine hasn't been able to fix. Or if they're just looking for a more natural approach, that's when, sometimes we'll do that testing to see if doing something like this is appropriate. But I think for people, even if you don't get, any testing done, this is still a very reasonable thing to do. It just, again, is and Julie will go over what is in a typical detox kit. But it's basically, again, a lot of herbs and a lot of vitamins that just help your body do what it already does best. So I think that it's worth doing for anyone who's just trying to keep healthy on a regular basis. Sometimes, once a year for those people who are usually feeling pretty good, is a reasonable way to do it. And twice a year, if you feel like, you're dealing maybe with some other things in your life or in your job or in your health that may need some extra tuning. So one of the reasons why I brought Julie here, Julie is from Ortho Molecular, and that's the company that we have, that we provide our detoxification kit from. And the reason why I use this particular company, you can go and you can probably go online and find many different types of things, but their science and their quality and their purity, has been demonstrated over and over again. For them, they source everything really well, every single ingredient that they have. And, if a batch is not right, Julie has called me and said, I'm sorry, this is not coming in for another 2 weeks because we had a problem with it and it didn't meet our standards. And so, they will hold off on selling anything until it meets, the standards that they feel are optimum. So that's why I put my trust in this company for my patients. So from here, I'm going to have Julie kind of go over what the science that they've developed for this and why it's such a really good product worth looking at.
Cool. Hello, I'm Julie and I'm with Ortho Molecular Products. Like Dr. Truty said, we are a professional grade nutrition supplement company. So we've been around for actually 30 years. This is our 30th year this year. So a little bit about myself. I've been a nutritionist for the past 7 years. So I actually started with the company about 2 years ago. So far, I love it. So going on with our program. So just to kind of give you an idea, so when she's talking about detoxification, that's really stemming from because we're exposed to a lot of things, right? If you look out, you walk outside, there's cars running, there's emission gas, you put makeup on your face, you wash your clothes and detergents, we're exposed to about 14 pounds of pesticides, herbicides, and food additives and preservatives in a year. So that's a lot. And if you look back to maybe like your grandparents, a lot of technology and things like that weren't around back then. It probably was a little bit different. Now, while we've gotten better at testing things to know if things are safe and what aren't, there's still a lot of exposure. So essentially what this program is doing is it's important to periodically restore the body's ability to cleanse itself and eliminate toxins. And that is done through your liver. So you may or may not have heard that, but to go off of this, so there's 4 pillars to GI health. And I don't know if you know a lot about functional medicine and integrative medicine, but a lot of it starts in your gut, in your GI. So, digestion is important. Elimination is going to be where your liver comes in because that's going to cleanse everything. Microflora balance is going to be like your probiotics and your bugs and your good bugs in your gut and your gut integrity. So if you look at, for example, you look at a table, and one of the legs is missing, is that table going to stand up? No. So you need all 4 of these things to work well in order to have balance. So what we're really focusing on today is going to be the elimination portion. You can control your digestion. You notice these things. You take probiotics. You can eat healthy. You can exercise. But the elimination piece is going to be a little bit harder. So toxins are any substance that have harmful effects on the body, and the GI tract is not functioning optimally. Additional burden is placed upon the liver. When incoming toxins exceed the liver's ability to remove them, it's termed toxic burden. Toxins are fat soluble, so they are attracted to the fatty portion of cells throughout the body. So a nice side effect of doing this kit is weight loss. And the reason that is because your toxins are stored in your fat cells. So what your liver is actually trying to do to cleanse itself is it's trying to take these fat-soluble toxins and turn them into water-soluble toxins to be excreted through your urine. So think of a cup, and you're pouring water in the cup, and there's only a tiny little hole at the bottom to release the water. After a while, that cup's going to overflow, right? So essentially, that's kind of what's happening with your liver. And it's not our fault. We're just exposed to so many things. So through your food, through the environment, we're literally pouring water and pouring toxins into our liver to cleanse it, and it's not able to keep up. So then it ends up storing these into your fat cells, and that's why you might have trouble losing weight, is because it can't get rid of those fat cells because they're full of stored toxins. So the idea is that cleansing your body every now and then can also help with weight loss as well. So it's a nice side effect. So we're going to go through the different types of toxins, and I promise I won't bore you with it. So air toxins. So these are going to be anything obviously coming from your air. So if you think about it, do you clean your house? What kind of chemicals are coming out of that cleaner? It's, we'll get to it later in the presentation, but there's more when you're cleaning your house. It's concentrated by like over 100 times because you're trapped inside. So all that's just getting circulated. But also things like polluted air from factories, which we don't even know we're breathing in, and there's a lot of them around here. Auto exhaust, paint and cleaning products, heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, radiation, and inhalants. So it's kind of, a lot, but if you think of it, so they've done studies on this, and the US EPA biopsy studies of chemicals stored in fat of human cells showed 100% of people had dioxins, PCB, dichlorobenzene, and xylene in their system. So that's a lot. Dioxins and PCBs are among the most potent causes of cancers known to man. So there's been a lot of studies done on this, and they're also showing that every single one of us has these toxins in us. So not that you're going to ever be able to avoid them all, but doing things to sort of help the process will certainly be good for you. So things that are very common that you don't even know you're breathing in: dioxins and PCBs outgas from carbonless copy paper, plastics, inks, ink paints, furnishings, and construction glues. Xylene outgases from plastic. So you know how they tell you not to leave your hot water bottles in a hot car, not microwaving your food in plastic containers. That's all coming out of, that's also going into your food, and then you're ingesting it. Stearin outgases from our computers, and many everyday plastic that holds our juices, water, sodas, and even baby formula. So these things were affected by every single day. So, in fact, we inhale over 500 chemicals, environmental chemicals daily at home. And here's just a study that showed that they analyzed the exhaled breath from residents in New Jersey, and they found a scary array of free radicals and chemicals that create disease, such as cancer. So I don't know if that's a great example, but even things like dry cleaning your clothes. Do you guys dry clean your clothes? How do they clean it? With chemicals, right? And then you're putting it on your skin. I'm wearing a dry clean sweater right now. It's one of those things you're not going to avoid everything, but doing things to, maybe picking and choosing better cleaning chemicals, like, cleaning your things with vinegar and lemon, as opposed to using just the whatever is on sale at Target. Those little things make a big difference. So this is just another study with atrazine. So this is essentially what you're going to find on your crops. So you're going to find this in a lot of farm areas. But if you shows here that chronic administration of ATZ is decrease the basal metabolic rate. So it decreases the amount of calories that your body burns at rest. So now you're not going to use as many calories for energy, which means your metabolism goes down. Increased body weight, side effect from that, intra-abdominal fat, and insulin resistance, so pre-diabetes, without changing your food intake or physical activity. A high-fat diet further exacerbated these issues. So here's something that you don't even realize that you're ingesting. So something that I do that's really easy when I get, my fruits and vegetables is I just take a capful of apple cider vinegar and I put it in a bowl, fill the bowl with cold water, and I just rinse my vegetables in something like that. Especially anything that has a lot of seeds or has like nooks and crannies. Those things tend to have more pesticides just because they have these nooks and crannies that bugs can get in. So just, or you can buy, organic is always a good idea too. So Luckily, we're down here, but as you can see, in the red is where the highest levels of atrazine is used. So that's going to be in where all of our farm country is. So unfortunately, our company is based in Illinois and Wisconsin. So they actually do a company-wide detox twice a year because they're all extremely exposed to all these things. I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, and I know, my dad still uses Roundup and all those chemicals every year. And what kills me is he dresses from head to toe in a white, suit, has a ventilator, and I'm like, and then we're eating these things? Like, what's wrong with this picture, So it just really, goes to show you. So, but here it shows down here like grains. So corn is the most heavily applied when it comes to this atrazine, followed by sorghum, which is the flour that you're going to find in your pasta and your bread. Summer fallow, which is, I'm not quite familiar with that. I'm guessing that's some type of grain. Sugar cane. So very highly consumed things, right? So all those things are going to have the highest amount of atrazine use. So next would be lifestyle toxins. So these are things that, especially as females, we probably use a lot more, right? So things like your cosmetics, skincare, just your lotions, your soaps, nicotine. Hopefully none of you, smoke cigarettes, alcohol, even things like caffeine, prescription drugs, and over-the-counter drugs. So I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with, especially things like makeup. Have you ever looked at the bottle of the makeup? What's on it?
No.
We know what yeah, there was one time. So it was really funny because I did one of these talks and I went home and I literally was like, I need to look at what is in my makeup because I'm so conscientious of what I put in my mouth. And this really, I think it was here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go home and look. I literally couldn't read a single word of what was in it. And I just threw it out. I was like, well, I'm going Whole Foods and getting home better makeup. But what some people tend to forget is that your skin is still an organ and it's your largest organ of your body. So I just always think of my mom as when I was a little kid. And you ever draw on your hands with marker and pen? My mom used to scream at me. She's like, that goes straight into your bloodstream. And I never quite understood until I got to be an adult. So I'm probably had a lot of toxins floating around. But the average woman is actually exposed to about 126 unique chemical ingredients daily through skincare products. So think of that as you shower, right? You put on makeup, maybe you put on lotion, perfume, so I can definitely see how that could happen. Many of the things in skincare products like parabens, synthetic preservatives may have serious adverse health effects, including hormone disruption, organ system toxicity, reproductive toxicity, infertility, and or birth or developmental defects. So that's some serious claims that we have on some of our skincare products. So I don't know. This is my first step to picking healthier products, but I actually use coconut oil for a lot of different things. Yeah. So I use it to take my makeup off. I use it as lotion. So after I get out of the shower, I don't even leave the shower and I put it on because I have really dry skin. And it's great. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it works great. So highly recommend.
And I'll get up here just for the right here, but not to scare you to death. I'm sure when you read this, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, my whole environment, what's going on here? But skincare products, I definitely think it's a good thing to bring up because we forget. But there are a lot of companies that are environmentally responsible. Some, like you said, you can go to some of the more natural food stores like Whole Foods or Native Sun around here, and there's Zoo and Gabrielle and some of those that have some pretty good products. But you can, and even at Target, they sell some good, products. So there are places that are not really expensive, but there's a website called the Environmental Working Group. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's EWG.org. I think it's .org, and but you can just still Google Environmental Working Group. And it's a good resource because they take a lot of products and they basically rate them, as far as what they, how toxic they are and how not toxic they are. So when you're looking to try to detoxify your home, from the cleaning products that Julie mentioned, or maybe trying to buy better skincare products, but yet try to do it in an affordable manner, that's really good. They also talk a lot about food, so the clean 13 and the dirty dozen. A lot of people, and you may go over that a little bit more, talk about that. But there's some organic foods that are probably really important to get organic, and other things that just getting conventional things because they have a skin, it is probably, reasonable if price, is an issue for you. And then, like you said, the endocrine disruptors, again, trying to avoid plastic Tupperware. My husband, I absolutely drive him crazy because I hate plastic Tupperware. I took all of our plastic Tupperware and I threw it out because, it's better if you can to keep and store things in. They make glass. It's heavier. It's breakable. That's why we move towards plastic. But there's less of these endocrine disruptors there. So trying to do that, and then if you have to use plastic, looking for it to be what we call BPA free, and there are certain things that you can do for that. So I'll let you kind of move on
you're good.
with that.
I actually thought of another. I actually have an app on my phone. It sounds really bad. It's called Think Dirty. I know, but it literally, you scan products and it shows you how toxic they are, essentially. So it's the same thing like you were saying with like the environmental working group, but it's an app, and I just used it. So it was after the last time we did this talk, when I went and like looked at all my makeup and I went through everything, because I was like, holy moly, and that app is actually really cool. It's a free app, and you can scan products while you're in the store, because I still don't know what half the things say on the back. And I actually really like the skincare line, the Naturopathica. It's like a more natural, it's a little more expensive, but I like it. So it works. But anyways, so moving on, the next toxin source is going to be your water toxins. So we all have the luxury of living in beautiful Jacksonville, and I love it here, but we have the worst water in the entire country. So, so I highly recommend filtering your water. But this is one of the leading pollutants in our nation, because you use water for everything, right? But some of the main pollutants you're going to find is going to be bacteria, mercury, nutrients such as phosphorus and nitrogen, low levels of dissolved oxygen, which can be caused by the decomposition of metals, which metals are going to come from things like polluting like rivers and lakes, from job sites. But the big thing is really like pesticide runoff too. So, anytime the farms and they're using a lot of pesticides, that's going into the ground, it rains, it's going to move on. So like, I don't know if you know a lot about like organic farming, but you can't have an organic farm within so much of a radius of a non-organic farm because of the possibility for runoff. So that can change things. So it's just things you never really think about. I grew up with a well. I grew up, again, on a farm in the country. So, when I moved down here, the water tasted very different to me. But I would just say, things just having like filtered water, you don't have to just live off bottled water, was not a bad idea either. So this leads into food and soil toxins. So kind of what I just said with the runoff and things like that, but a lot of other things in our food. So my big thing is the artificial flavorings, the artificial colorings you're going to find, meats that contain hormones and antibiotics. I'm sure if you have questions, let me know. But even things like your fast foods, a lot of the stuff is so incredibly processed. So I used to work for The Biggest Loser, the television show. And what I used to do is this was a very traumatizing day in my life because I don't eat fast food, but I went to McDonald's and I got a ton of stuff. And I was Well, I was in the line, and I'm like, nobody see me. Oh my gosh, you know. I have problems. You can ask my husband. But I go there, and I literally just put them in a case and didn't touch them, and they stayed for years. They looked brand new. The chicken nuggets didn't even look like you touched them. The burger, the bread, everything. And so it has so many chemicals on it to keep that preserved, because you think about it, these things are being shipped across the country, and even things like, a lot of people don't really talk about it, but like chain restaurants. You think you go to a chain restaurant, you think it's better, but a lot of times it's going to be the same. How do you think Olive Garden, not to call them out because it's not just them, but how do you think their pastas taste the same as it does in Colorado as it does in Jacksonville, right? A lot of it's got to come in frozen, so it's all like highly processed. So that's just me being picky, but I can go on about this all day. So like Dr. Truty was saying, when it comes to buying organic, so a little pro tip for you, frozen organic is always going to be way cheaper. So if you're on a budget and you want to eat organic, you'll save a lot of money by buying frozen organic versus fresh organic, because it's going to be harder for them to transport it. Have you guys ever heard of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15? Okay, so your Dirty Dozen, these are going to be the dirtiest foods in terms of pesticides. So these are products that I would recommend buying organic if possible, or at least just washing very thoroughly, But have you ever noticed in the organic section the size of the vegetables? It's much smaller, right? So these are things, and like I was saying earlier, anything that has a lot of nooks and crannies where bugs can get into and live are going to have more pesticides being put on them. So you think of like an apple, think of how many bugs eat an apple, right? The worm in the apple, right? So that's something I would definitely buy organic if you could, as opposed to, it's not on here, the Clean 15. And you can just Google Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. There's actually a link down here, and the Clean 15 are going to be the least likely to have, the least amount of pesticides. I say, my little rule of thumb, anything you peel, you don't need to buy organic. So like a banana, you're peeling it off. You're going to save $1, but it's, anything that you have to peel, really, you don't need to worry about being organic, essentially. So. Fun stuff, right? Everyone's going to be terrified to walk in. No, don't do that. I don't want to scare you. It's more about awareness, right? Awareness is key, because it's just things that the main goal of this is that you go home and you just take a look at things and go, maybe I need to make a few small changes, right? You don't need to live in a bubble, I promise. Of course, your cleaning products. So I think this goes without saying. It's pretty easy. That all of the majority of your cleaning products that you find around your house probably have a lot of chemicals in it. It's like, when you are like cleaning indoors, you're literally trapping it all in. So, I would say there's certain cleaning products that you kind of can't really get around without using chemicals or bleach, but try to ventilate, or you could even do things like wearing a mask, but I don't know if you want to do that. It takes about an average of 26 seconds for chemicals in the typical household to enter your bloodstream. So that's not a lot of time. So think of the average time it takes to clean your house. You're going to be breathing in those chemicals for much longer than that, right? So for hours probably after that. According to the EPA, studies of human exposure to air pollutants indicate that indoor levels of pollutants may be 2 to 5 times and occasionally 100 times higher than outdoor pollutant levels. So that's what I was saying about you're literally trapping it all in. So that was something that really opened my eyes when I first did this presentation. Also things like internal toxins. So, things like bacteria, you have good bugs, you have bad bugs. Generally, your body likes it that way. They don't bother each other. But when it turns into a dysbiosis situation where the bad bugs are out, taking over the good bugs, that's not a good thing. So that's where you go and see Dr. Truty. Byproduct of metabolic reactions like carbon dioxide, ammonia, and hormones, undigested food. So that one, for me, being in the nutrition realm, is a big one. So if you're not breaking down your food properly, it essentially is then going to become fermented in like whole pieces and going through your small intestines, and that's not good. So you want to be breaking down your food because you also want to extract all the nutrients from that. So that would be definitely something to talk with Dr. Truty about too. Stress, unhappy relationships, trauma, abuse, all those things. So this was the purpose of the before and after questionnaire. Okay, so you don't have to read your, what your scores were out loud because everybody that does it is always a little shocked. But all these signs and all these symptoms up here are definitely, signs that your detoxification and your liver might be bogged down. Okay, so if one or multiple of these things pertain to you, then the kit will be an excellent idea. Okay, and we'll talk more about what's in that and what it all entails in a little bit. So some of the big ones are allergies, fatigue. That's something that people generally see a difference in right away from doing the kit. So why would you want to detox? Because the average American has about 116 of the 146 synthetic compounds in your body right now. So obviously we put how much stuff on our skin. We're exposed to 126 toxins in a day that we put on our skin. What really got me with this is the average umbilical cord blood contains 217 neurotoxins, and 208 are known to cause birth defects. So that's really scary because, especially if, a unborn baby, you want to protect as much as you can. But they also found it was they found these chemicals in human milk, placenta, umbilical cord blood, and the body fat of newborns. So unfortunately, it's everywhere. We do ingest 30 to 50 tons of food in a lifetime. So that's a lot of food, right?